welcome to the Women Writing Podcast. I'm your book coach, Lisa Kovala. I'm an author accelerator, certified fiction and memoir book coach, and the author of Like Water for Weary Souls, Sisters Winter War, Surviving Struthoff, and the upcoming Hygge House Cozy Mystery Series. As a Finnish Canadian, I also love my coffee. Take a coffee break with us as we chat about all things writerly with authors and publishing industry professionals. And don't forget to sign up for my Women Writing newsletter on Substack and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more great content. Today, I have a coffee break with Cece Robinson. Cece is a dynamic force in the world of racial reconciliation. As the author of the Divided series and an associate pastor at a multi-ethnic congregation, Cece pioneers the way for people from diverse backgrounds to move from yelling at each other in rows to discussing issues around a table as colleagues. When Cece speaks, audiences see a way forward from the current climate of division and hatred to greater collaboration and ultimately a unified approach to issues that affect their communities. With over 20 years' experience as a missionary to post-Civil War nations and a pastor in a multi-ethnic congregation, Cece has grown from a white woman steeped in the colonialistic views of American culture to an author and advocate for collaborative, respectful, multi-ethnic, and compassionate community building. Hi, Cece. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you, Lisa?
I'm so good. Thanks for coming on. This is really lovely to be able to chat with you today about all the writerly things and everything you're up to. So I was reading about the series of books that you wrote, and I found it really fascinating because you're an associate pastor and you're writing dystopian YA, which is an interesting,
They
interesting.
seem
Tell
to
us about that.
conflict, but they don't.
Can you tell us what led you, like, have you always been a writer and or have you come to it later in life?
Okay, so that's like five questions.
That's a lot of
Let me
questions.
start in order. I will start in
Yes.
order. I can do this. I can do this. First, have I always written? Yes, just not always shared it. I think
Yes.
that's a distinction because I think a lot of people don't see themselves as a writer unless they have a book on Amazon. And I'm like, no, you're a writer.
Right.
So yeah, I've written since I can remember, and even stories that I didn't actually write down, but just composed in my head because I was bored.
Right.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
That's a great cure for boredom. Make up stories about people. Walk
Totally
around in
true.
the world and make up stories. I do it all the time. I think it's a really good practice. And then how I got into writing is, as far as sharing it with the world, is actually a little not intentional on my part, but totally intentional on God's part. I had an all-night dream in 2012. And I need to back up because I've been a pastor in a multi-ethnic congregation for several decades. And part of that process and for me in the early years was we did a lot of overseas missions.
Oh, yes.
And I think, the old style of missions, colonialism, I had nothing to do. I wanted nothing to do with that. Like,
Yeah.
get me far away from that.
Yeah.
I was more into like collaboration. And so we would go into post-Civil War nations and start medical clinics and economic development programs and leadership training programs in schools and whatever really they needed. Like, we just figured it out. And we would partner with local churches to do that. And then when they were stable and rocking and rolling on their own, we'd go, see ya,
Yeah.
you're good.
Amazing.
Here's everything.
Yeah.
So that, like seeing people in their own version of the apocalypse and coming out of it,
Ooh, yeah.
gave me a certain frame, right? A
Yeah.
certain way of viewing the world. Now, you take that into um, having started a church in Cincinnati we were right there, partners with another couple, and being a white couple under the leadership of a black couple in the city of Cincinnati is a very different thing. I don't think there's many people who have done it. And yet we've built this great church. And I mean, it's not us, it's God doing it. But at the same time, you learn lessons when you're working on a diverse staff, when you're working with people who don't look like you, who don't have your same upbringing or your background, even if they're your same ethnicity, they
Yeah.
come from a different place. And so they have different frameworks, they have different worldviews. And so bringing all those together and reconciling across races, across classes, even educational status has been a journey, a lesson of 20 years in ministry, 20 plus Actually, it's almost 24 years now in ministry.
Wow.
And it's just crazy. But all of those lessons, I look now at the world and I go, wow, you guys really have no clue, do you? And we
Yes,
don't as a
it's true.
society. I mean, all you have to do is look at Facebook and
Mhm.
no, okay, well, no, we really don't have a clue. We
Mm.
don't know how to talk to each other when we disagree. We don't know how to bridge those gaps in the culture. And I was just like, I want to do something, but what? And so one night in 2012, it was a post-racial American. I put real air quotes
Mhm.
for people who are not on video because we all know that that was not accurate. But I actually heard reporters saying that now that Obama is elected, we're in a post-racial American. I rolled on the floor laughing. I was like, no way. I still see the same brokenness. I had a dream all night. I saw our nation in a civil war over racial issues. I saw the brokenness, I saw the militias, I saw the fighting, the tit for tat, and the destruction, the breakdown of our society. I saw it all in this dream. I woke up. I was one terrified because I felt like it was probably happening. That's how real it was. I was in it. And I was just upset, crying, broken, praying, all this, yelling, like, what in the world? Somehow managed to calm down, go back to sleep. I don't know how, but I got back to sleep and I went right back into the dream, except it skipped 45 years ahead. And I saw a generation of kids who were growing up. Everyone, a dictator had taken power and everyone was separated into their racial groups with walls put up in between them. So these kids are growing up never having met someone from another ethnicity. And they, instead of being like us with all this baggage, they're blank slates. They have no clue. All they are is curious.
Right.
There's no narrative in their brain about, oh, these people are like that, or oh, those people don't belong here because they're XYZ or ABC. They don't have any of that baggage.
Right.
All they see is someone at their same stage of life, living under the same regime, but separated from them. And so, being teenagers, they're curious and want to know. And I met my four protagonists, saw how they were living, and they said, will you free us? And that's when I woke up and I was like, what even was that? What genre is that? I don't even know what genre that is. So I had to like do a deep dive and try to figure that out. And I had seen Hunger Games and Divergent and all that, but I hadn't really studied the young adult dystopian genre. And so I went into a deep dive with that and learn how to write characters from other ethnicities. It's a long process, a lot of learning, a lot of research. And so that's how it all came about. So to answer the question, no, I never wanted to write young adult dystopian, and I just didn't see that happening in my life. But now that I'm here, I love it.
Amazing. Like that, there's so much to unpack right there. There's so many things happening. Can we reverse just a little bit to
Mhm.
when you were working as a missionary? Because I think that was really an important part of your life's journey to spend time in other
Mhm.
communities and you know, seeing what the needs were and supporting people. And like you say, also like empowering people to do what they need to
Yeah.
do so that you don't have, they're not dependent. So
Mhm.
were there any experiences there that maybe informed your writing or um, helped you to develop this world that you've created?
Absolutely. I will tell you a story because that's what I love doing. Um, The longest working area that we were in was Sierra Leone. And Sierra Leone had suffered a 30-year-long civil war of tribe against tribe. And Sierra Leone is a place where a lot of slaves came back to from the British Empire. They were allowed to, basically, Britain, when they freed their slaves, sent a lot back to Sierra Leone. It was an option they could do. So there's a tribe of freed slaves. And there's a tribe that stayed there. They were native, and there's other tribes too. But these two tribes were the ones at war and devastated the country. There were, you try to drive on a road and there's potholes as big as a VW bus because a bomb went off. And that's like normal. So, like a 90-minute, what should take 90 minutes ends up taking 9 hours. So, in the setting of that, they are war weary. They lay their arms down, they lay their weapons down. There's a peace. but there's still this tension between these people who some, you know, they're in the same villages, sometimes in neighboring villages, and one guy may have like been part of a massacre in another village. Well, a guy from that village, the massacred village, may have done the same thing to the on the other direction because that's how the Civil War was. And so you've got these men and women too who had fought against each other, and they're now in these reconciliation programs, post-war reconciliation programs. And I saw some of the most beautiful stories of reconciliation. Like one man had killed an entire other man's family. Excuse me. And I met them when they were friends, actually in the same training program for carpentry, supporting each other. They had forgiven one another and they were moving on. And I was like, wow,
Yeah,
like
powerful.
that is such a beautiful picture of reconciliation when there's a lot at stake.
Mm,
There's a lot of water that's gone under that bridge. We've
absolutely.
had floods going under that bridge,
Yeah.
but yet these two men reconciled.
Yeah.
And so if I felt like if they could do it, we can figure out how to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great example. And just the idea that they were able to find a way to each other and that there was a program there for them to build
Yeah.
that kind of bridge, right, between them, which seems like such a divide that
Mm-hmm.
you would never be able to conquer that. But
Mm-hmm.
like it's really like I have just a side question here because I'm so fascinated by this part of your life. Do you think you'll ever write a memoir or something about that time?
I get asked this all
I
the
bet you do.
time. Eventually, yes. Um, there are parts of my life that the guilty are still living. So in the interest of maintaining peace, I
Yeah,
will not write it yet.
right.
Um, so eventually,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And I mean
Yeah.
that's a good thought process too that I think not everyone thinks about is the repercussions on what you're writing if you were to write a memoir now and
Hmm.
how it would affect relationships and all those things, right? And sometimes we're too close to it
Hmm.
and more time passing is probably better. But I love that other people have asked you that too, because that's like, oh, Cece, there's a seed of something you need to
I know.
do. But
And
in
I
the
don't think
meantime,
fictionalizing it would do, I don't think that would really help because these things actually happened.
yeah,
Like I saw the craziest things happen.
yeah,
And if you fictionalize it, it just becomes fiction.
yes.
Whereas my real life could be, I mean, could be a fiction story, but it wasn't. Trust
Yeah,
me.
100%.
I
And I
was the
think
one
that's the
sleeping
thing.
on the floor. I know, I remember.
Exactly. And I feel like often when it's real life, if you were to try to fictionalize it, people would be like, ah, like that's too far. I don't believe that. It's like
No.
like it just doesn't work as non as fiction. But like because the real things sometimes are so much more dramatic and crazy and out of this world
Hmm.
than you expect that like fiction we have to kind of like rein it in so it makes sense and it flows and it works with the
I mean,
plot.
because yeah, you look at me and I am 5'4" and like, I don't have these bulging marine biceps. Like I'm not the character that you think like would be the one who has lived some of the things I have lived through. And so yeah, I just think it needs to be the real story,
Yeah,
but not yet.
100%. I totally agree. And so that's so fascinating. So then you have this amazing dream. That dream is like I think anyone who's a vivid dreamer, like I'm a vivid dreamer, and I will have, regularly long story like dreams, often that I
Hmm.
can remember. But this one seems unique because like you woke up and went back to sleep and it continued and it was specific characters and you really had a good sense of
Hmm.
what this world was like almost like viewing it. Did you immediately say, oh, I have to write this, or was it just did you mull it over for a while, or like was there an instinct
Hmm.
to there's a story here, I need to do this?
Well, aside from Marcos telling me I had to tell this story, um, I knew I needed to write it, but like with my dreams, I'm also a vivid dreamer. And so I will write my dreams down. And if they keep coming back, that's when I know there's something there. And Marcos, he is so doggedly determined. He would not leave me alone in my dreams. So whenever I wouldn't write, whenever I wasn't like active in the process, he would appear in my dreams. I'd be like, you again,
Okay.
it's you again. That's why he gets the first book because I had to get him. I
Yes,
just
he
be
needed
quiet,
it.
be quiet.
Yeah, he
I
had to
need you.
have it. That I love that so much. And I've heard so many writers talk about that those characters. Sometimes it's that they can hear the voice really specifically, that they're dreaming about them,
Hmm.
or like I think all authors have sort of a different take on how those characters and those situations come to them. But I find that so fascinating that that one character is almost hounding you to write the book already.
And he
Amazing.
was very specific. He just kept saying, I'm not free yet.
Yeah.
I
And
want to be free. I'm not
so
free yet.
and that was the process of like writing the book allowed him to be
Hmm.
free in that sense and
Hmm.
freed you to be able to write the other more books
Yes.
about the same
Yes.
place and I'm assuming some the same characters for the most
Same
part and
characters, all four
yeah.
books.
Okay,
Yep.
so
Same
you've
four
written four in
characters.
this series so far.
There
Four,
are four in the series, and that's what they will be.
and that's
Four
it.
and no more.
Okay, and you're
Well, okay, in the main series, but like I like to create like this huge sandbox everyone can play in. So I've got like a novella series that has four, and then I've got in my head like a standalone dystopian romance that's like side characters somewhere in the middle, and then a prequel duology. So I've got like lots of stuff spinning in my head about this, but four for the main divided series, and they're all written. They're just, I'm the last two are just in revision right now.
okay, perfect. Oh my goodness. I love it so much. So great. Yeah, I just
Ooh.
I think we're getting a sense of what the books are about.
Hmm.
Like I have I read this that it includes a ruthless dictator. Love it already.
Hmm.
And prison camps and a rebel faction. And you already mentioned Marcus.
Marcos, yes.
Marcos. And
Yep.
the is divided, caged, and betrayed. That's the three at the moment.
Three, and then United is the
And
fourth.
United. Oh my gosh, even the titles
Yeah.
have a trajectory of the
Yes,
storyline.
they do.
Yeah. So did you set out like so like let's talk about series for a second because those folks who are writing series, as I am also writing a series at the moment, but Cozy Mystery. Did you say, okay, I'm going to write this one book and then I'll figure out the next one? Or did you have a plan for all four? Or how did that look in terms of the planning process?
So when I started out, I had no clue what I was doing. So I just started, you
Nice.
know? And I think that's what writers should do. They should just start.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you start at the beginning, you can fix that later. Just start somewhere. Start in the middle, start at the end. I don't care. Just start. And then once I got to a place where I was like, okay, I think I need an editor. That's when my first editor kind of worked with me on the overall story arc. And we parted ways, but we were trying to fit it into three because that's
Right.
trilogies in dystopian world. That's what we do, right?
Right.
I'm such a rebel. I cannot with any rule. Like you tell me a rule, and I would be like, how can I break that?
Love it.
So I have four because it really three never felt right to me because I have four main characters. And I was like, every character should get a chance to star.
Yeah.
And
Makes
so
sense.
I redid the series outlines, rewrote, and I did what I call a zero draft from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Just quick highlights, stick a cool scene here about X, Y, and Z, and then move on. Or I write this whole scene in intricate detail. And so I did that to start off with. And that gave me the overarching arc that we're going for,
Yeah.
the big plot points. And then from there, I took that and started working on each book individually.
Okay.
That makes sense. So I think you have to start with the series and maybe, some people, discovery writers, will have to do that zero draft as well. Others, if you're planners, hey, go for it. Plot that every little detail out but get your series done first and
Right.
then focus on the books.
Yeah. That's a good
Because
point.
yeah, because in a book of four series books, four book series, let me get that word out. Um, if you've got a three acts that you're trying to fit into, your first book is Act One, your second book is the first part of Act Two, third book is the second part of Act Two, and that's really depressing. And then the fourth book is Act Three. It's like plot, 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 action. So you've got to get those series level beats right.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. I love that because especially as a first time writer thinking about writing a series, it's already daunting enough thinking about writing one book, but to say to yourself, like, dream big and just go for it.
Mhm.
Like, look at the whole series that you've envisioned. Think about it, the whole trajectory of it as a whole,
Mhm.
but then also individual books. And then, like you say, just write. Like, you do learn so much just by writing. And then, of course, you can get feedback and you can
Yes.
do all the things to help
Hmm.
you figure out what you're doing. But um, yeah, there's just no point in playing small, right? Just go for it. Like,
Just
you
go
want
for
four
it.
books, you want six books, just go for it and it will happen. It's just
Hmm.
trying to figure out how to get there.
Yeah, and I feel like a story is gonna find its place, right? So if it's a single book, if you try to push it beyond a single book, it's not gonna work.
Right.
And if it's a four books and you try to cram it into one, I mean, that's just way
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah, it
So the
is.
story itself will help you figure out how many books, what the structure, how long they are, all of that.
Yeah, I love that. And for me, one of the things I was trying to work on was because each of mine are standalone, but the same
Hmm.
community, same characters. So I was thinking more about how individual characters, their arc from book one to, in my case, it's book six. I say that. I shouldn't say that out
Yeah,
loud because now I feel like committed to it. But anyways, so it's that
yeah.
same idea though, looking ahead at where are they landing and what needs to happen to them in each book
Hmm.
to kind of move them forward. So somebody read just one book, oh, okay, this that story is fine, but then if you read the whole book, you'll see the whole trajectory of the character. So
Hmm.
yeah, that planning thing is worth spending some time on. And I feel like it's a really creative zone. Do you, like, some people think, oh,
Hmm.
planning is like, oh, I just want to write the book. But I think planning can be so fun and creative and like you can, I don't know, I get paper and crayons out and
Hmm.
draw things.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind the planning part. I probably don't take as much time to plan as some people that are true planners. Like I have friends who will outline a book for a month. I'm like, I might as well write the thing.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I may outline for like 3 days,
Yeah.
4 days. I'll get the high points, and then I sometimes I feel like if I outline too detailed, it releases too much creativity. And then in my brain, the story's done
Okay. And then you,
because I've outlined it.
right.
And so I can't let it be done.
Right. So
And so
there's a
even
happy
when I,
place there
yeah.
between knowing where you're headed, but also letting some mystery happen along the way as well.
Mhm. And it's a little trick I do even in revisions. Like I'll send the developmental draft to my editor and I'll say, I know these things probably need to be fixed.
Yeah.
But see, for me, that is saying the story's not done yet.
Right.
And so that gives me momentum into revisions, which I think for someone, I have ADHD, so someone like me, like revisions can be torture,
Right. Right.
but
Yeah.
we need to do them, right?
Yes. 100%. Okay. That's so fascinating. I love it. So I wanted to ask you also about your characters because you have diverse characters and writing diverse characters can be really challenging. So how do
Hmm.
you approach that? What does that look like? Maybe you could even tell us a little bit about the characters
Hmm.
in your series that you depicted.
Yes, absolutely. So I'll talk about my favorite, which is Harriet. Don't tell the others. So Harriet is my African American young woman. She wants to be a nurse and very sensitive, she's friendly, but reserved with people in that she doesn't just put herself all out there like maybe some other people might. But to research Harriet, took me, well, first I went to original sources during the Civil War. So I actually read firsthand slave accounts, firsthand new immigrant accounts, if you think about like that, from Africans coming to America to understand the root culture. Obviously, I know a lot about African culture, having been there many, many times. but understanding the influence of the root culture, understanding the impact of the Civil War and slavery upon the Black population in America, and then taking that through the 1900s with the Great Migration and the Civil Rights Movement, studied Dr. King, studied um, uh, I can't even think of her name. Rosa Parks,
Oh, yes.
studied Harriet Tubman. I studied, I would say, most of the big name advocates for African Americans in our history. And then after I'd done all that, I sat down with friends of mine who had grown up in the African American culture in the U.S. And I mainly sat down with women. I sat down with a few men as well. And I asked them like 2 hours of questions, just
Yeah.
like this, just talking. Tell me what it was like growing up. Tell me about family reunions. What kind of food do you serve at Thanksgiving? And that's, I already knew about the whole sweet potato pie thing, but versus white Americans eat pumpkin pie and black Americans eat potato pie. And if you've never had sweet potato pie, I recommend trying it. It's excellent. Um, so I already knew a lot of that stuff, but it was like verifying it. And then I want to hear from you the importance of these traditions, how you grieve, how you process loss. Tell me how you process challenges. Talk to me about resilience. Talk to me about all these other things that I see as an outsider in the culture looking in. Tell me about them. Tell me about the role of music in your family. Like how does art and creativity come into play in your family? And obviously it's different family to family. But I just asked 1,000 questions and I would record the interviews and then I would take notes on the transcriptions and recorded them on a really old school, I
Yeah.
don't even think they
Tape
exist
recorder.
anymore. I don't even think they exist. And I would write my observations. And then once I got my character together, I wrote some backstory scenes for each of my characters. I did this for each character.
Yeah.
And for Harriet, I had two friends of mine review them, and I was like, pick them apart. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. And I got a list back. They were very transparent and honest with me, which I think is a gift. And then okay, change those, make the adjustments. And then I made the adjustments in the characterization and I sent them that and they reviewed that and it was a lot of back and forth. And then when I wrote the first scenes in the book, so the early drafts, I would have them review the scenes from that character's point of view. What am I doing wrong? What am I not getting? What do you feel is inauthentic expression of your culture? Now, you have to understand, I've taken our current cultures as they stand and projected them 45 years into the future after they've been divided. So there's no longer an influence of the other cultures on each culture. And so they've been allowed to develop in a way that is unique and distinct. So there are going to be differences between what you see now and what you see in the books.
Right.
But that's because they've developed on their own.
Hmm. Interesting. I think that's
So
a
it's a
really
process.
beautiful way to approach research, because sometimes we don't think about writing dystopian fiction or something set in the future as requiring a ton of research because we're creating it. But the truth is, there's always research involved. And I
Hmm.
love how you
Hmm.
went about it, like gathering and reading all about the whole history. And then the fact that you had those conversations that were genuine and that
Hmm.
were so informative. And I don't know, I think they served the purpose and the readers served the purpose of like we call them sensitivity readers. And
Yeah.
often, you'll give a book to somebody
Hmm.
for a sensitivity read, but that
Hmm.
you had folks who would do that for you, who were friends and could tell you the truth about what was happening.
Hmm.
And like you said, that's really a gift to hear that
Hmm.
and be able to make sure your story is going to resonate and that you're not,
Hmm.
you know, gone to left fields on something.
Well, and
That's
then
so
even
powerful.
after all that, my developmental editor still tore me to shreds about some stuff. I was still using food as a descriptor, and so she's like, nope, not allowed,"
Yeah, okay.
and sent me to the Writing with Color
Yeah,
blog, and that was like, oh, I thought I was over this, and
right.
and so I had to dig even deeper. How do I
But this is
describe
so
things
good that
without
you
that?
are
Yeah.
you are not only willing, but that I mean, there are so much,
Mhm.
many more resources available to writers
Yeah.
now. There are folks who are can be sensitivity readers. Great developmental editors are going to be able to point that out for you,
Hmm.
and just and that you're willing to learn and change and grow. Like some people will dig their heels in on things. This is how I
Hmm.
see it. This is how I think it should be. No, like you need to
Yeah,
adjust, and that's part of the growth mindset that we need as writers too, right? Like that we're not stuck in a different
absolutely.
era. So yeah, I think that's incredible that you were able to get folks to share with you and did you find that they were appreciative of those efforts on your part
Hmm.
too?
Yeah, absolutely. And now they're some of my best cheerleaders. So I would say
Yeah,
that.
I bet. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fantastic. So fun. Um, so I want to also ask you about you like just the day-to-day life of your like life in terms of writing. Because I'm always fascinated by people who are writing regularly, who are publishing, also are doing other kinds of work. Also, excuse
Hmm.
me, we're both overcoming colds, so every once in a while we're gonna have these little moments. So, do you have like a routine that you follow, or
Hmm.
how does that look?
Yeah, so I used to work most of the day at church, and in August that flipped. So most of my day is now in the authoring sphere, and that was because of some long lasting illnesses that just it necessitated a lifestyle change. And I just said, I can't do that anymore. I still probably work 10 to 15 hours a week in the church, um, but not paid like I was before, but just because I love it. And now so my day times are my author times. And I generally write in the morning. I get a good like hour and a half, 2 hours in. And when I feel the well kind of declining and okay, I could push it some more, but wow, if I do that, I'm not gonna be able to write tomorrow. I stop and I task switch, and usually to something that doesn't drain me, like playing on Canva or BookBrush. So, like
Yeah,
some of those like graphic design sites help replenish my creativity.
yeah.
And then I take a break, work out, eat lunch, whatever, and then I come back after lunch and do another segment. And then I kind of evaluate my own energy level. This is where just self-care wise, I've had to pay attention
Mm,
to that over the long haul.
mm.
I'm not getting any younger. I'm a Gen Xer, and the health scare was real. So let's not end up there again. And so sometimes after that, I'll do some administrative tasks or something that like just drains the ever loving life out of me. And then I'm done. And then, I may make dinner and then, stuff for church at night. Oftentimes I was up doing a spreadsheet for our deacon care council. So that was Tuesday night, and then last night we had a Zoom meeting for our leadership training courses. So yeah,
There's always something
it's
else on
constant. There's
the to-do list.
always I usually a lot of nights I do have stuff for church, so it's
Yeah,
busy.
for sure. Absolutely. No, that's
Mhm.
really interesting to hear. And I love the idea that you are um listening to yourself. Like I feel like that's something I've had to learn over the last couple of years too, is
Mhm.
when am I most creative? When can I focus on writing?
Mhm.
When can I just, like you say, Canva is such a great for me too, like a place to go, like it's productive and I need to do it. And but I also find it relaxing. So
I do too.
let's make this thing. Oh, let's try again. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
feel stressful. So it's like a nice thing that makes you feel like, yes, I'm moving the needle forward in some way, but it's also
Mhm.
not really high demand. So yeah, it's just
Yeah.
listening to your body and when in the day
Mhm.
is working for you, what fits best in what time period. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's important for people to understand because I mean we
Mhm.
all have heard that you must write every day and you must da, da, da. And I just don't
Eh,
think it works for most of us. If
I
it
don't
does,
write.
great, but
No, I write maybe 4 or 5 days a week.
yeah,
Because right now I'm still in the doctor phase, so I have like a day of doctor appointments sometimes.
yeah,
That just
absolutely.
happens. And then I don't write on Saturdays and I don't write on Sundays.
Yeah,
So I'm not an everyday writer.
no. And I don't think
And when,
I think it that makes so much sense, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the other thing is, I think writers end up judging themselves for their output.
Yeah.
Like I will tell people all the time, do not look at my word count per
Yes.
hour. Like it will make you so sad. Like don't.
Hmm.
That I just just out with it. And
Yes.
then I have to do a whole lot of editing. I know people whose words come out the first time perfect. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. That's not me.
I don't think that's very many people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I like that a lot. And some people it does take a long time to get those first page those words down, but um you know it doesn't matter. Like there's no race, there's no competition, there's no,
Mm-mm.
it's only our internal deadlines often. Maybe there's somebody waiting for the next book, like at the publishing end of it, but hopefully
Yeah,
that's a nice problem to have, I guess, for
it's a
those folks.
wonderful problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you working on now? You have the last
Mhm.
book in the series that to still come out and
So the second one came out in June.
oh,
Third one is coming out next summer.
nice.
So that is back from the development. I'm working on book 3 and 4 at the same time, which is maybe a little insane to me, but we're doing it. And so my editor now has book 4, and I have been told I'm not allowed to touch Betrayed until I get United feedback because there's some continuity things,
Oh, okay.
which I'm like 100%. I don't like wasting time, and really like the holidays are on us, so I have other stuff I can do.
Sure.
And so right now I'm rebuilding a new website. I'm like testing Facebook ads, like I'm writing a novella, Junior's origin story, villain origin story, which is fascinating and fun to get in his head, scary. So just I'm doing a lot of other like sort of world ancillary things.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
great. I'm excited about that. I think folks will be waiting for the next couple of books, which is again a lovely problem to have because you have
Yes.
readers who are waiting for those books to come out.
Hmm.
Amazing. Is there anything in particular that you're reading right now? Is there anything that you would recommend?
Hmm. So right now I'm actually reading an advanced copy of one of my friend's books, another young adult dystopian. It's coming out, I think it's like in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I know I got to get my tuition gear to get this one done. But yeah, Caitlin Mazur's Forgive Me, Father series, and it's Forgive or Fight, book 4. And it is a great post-apocalyptic cult that like destroyed the world. And now a young girl who was born in the cult escaped and now is coming back and setting everyone free. And it's just a really fun story that kind of explores those dynamics of power and rebellion. But at the same time, like how do you hold on to faith in the middle of that? Because it is a faith-based cult. Like
Yeah.
they've perverted Christianity and he's now the prophet and all like it's just so
Oh,
I look at it, I
that's
go, I
good.
don't even recognize it as a Christian. So um yeah, what they've done is really turned it outside in. But she's really threaded that needle of having her protagonist hold on to her faith while also opposing the oppression. So that's really fun that I am in. I'm now currently reading. I just got it 2 days ago.
Amazing.
And yeah, I read widely. So I also am reading like holiday rom-coms like everybody else. And
Tis the
I love
season.
mysteries and
Mhm.
I pretty much read almost anything
Yeah.
except horror. I can't handle horror.
Yeah, fair
But
enough.
yeah, almost
Fair enough.
everything.
That's great. Thank you so much. Well, this has been so
Hmm.
much fun chatting with you about your series and
Hmm.
your characters and your fascinating life that down the road, maybe we'll see a memoir from you. You'll let us
Yes,
know.
I will let you know.
Thanks so much, Cece.
Thank you.
I believe writers need Sisu, strength, courage, and determination to get their projects done, and I can help you access your Sisu. Are you working on a novel or memoir? You don't have to do it alone. Join us in the Women Writing Circle. We meet bi-weekly for 90 minutes to get pages done. Or consider applying for an upcoming group book coaching program to develop the foundational elements of your story in a supportive community. These 8-week-long programs include weekly coaching calls, goal setting, craft discussion, and personalized feedback on writing tasks. If you'd prefer to work one-on-one, contact me about one of my coaching packages at lisakovalabookcoach.com. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to have a coffee break with us at Women Writing. Don't forget to subscribe to Women Writing on Substack. If you like this episode, share it with someone who needs a writing break and a little inspiration. Happy writing! Thank you to Michael Jensen for his original music and editing, and to Mia Jensen for the logo design.